Hi everyone, it's Emma and I'm back for another video. So living on cruise ships in my 30s wasn't really something I ever envisioned. It was not anything I planned. And honestly, it's not even the adventure or the places that I've been that have been the most impactful in my life. And it's honestly been all the little lessons I've learned along the way. Now, if you've never been on a cruise ship, you might not know that some of them have the capacity to fill an entire small town. I'm talking thousands and thousands of people. I can't get a meal without walking past hundreds of people. I can't go throughout my day without having interactions with many strangers. So there are some things that I've learned along the way by having all these interactions. And honestly, compared to back home, where I'm having a quiet life and being choosy with who I have social interactions with and who I don't, it's a really big contrast because I really can't get away from social interactions if I want to. I'm a social person, so normally I do have a lot of interactions with people, but just think about all the social interactions that you probably have in an entire year and fit them into a week, because that's what it feels like sometimes. And it's fun and it's exciting and I've met a lot of really cool people, but most of all, I've learned a lot of great life lessons from all of these interactions, and that's what I want to talk about today. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that you don't really need a lot to be happy. I mean, I'm just here in this tiny cabin with a carry-on and a backpack, and it's honestly very freeing. I will admit that sometimes I'm like, wow, it would be lovely to have my cozy pair of sweatpants or insert whatever thing that I might want from home. But at the same time, it doesn't affect the quality of life that I have at all. And it makes me feel like back home, a lot of things are just kind of distracting me, like the commercialism of being at home. I'm constantly like buying things on Amazon. I need to go to Walmart. I need to get this thing to fix up the house. Whatever it is, I feel like I'm, kind of trapped in a little bit of a commercialist cycle. So living on cruise ships, especially in a really tiny space with my partner, has made me realize what's important. And it's really not things. It's not things at all. And that kind of surprised me because I was hesitant to travel light, but it really feels a lot freer. It's easier for us on turnover days and things like that. And you know what? I have what I have and I make do, and it's a really great exercise for me. Now, the next lesson is a little bit controversial. I don't know. Let me know what you think. One thing that I've learned personally, this is just for me, if you have a negative opinion, keep it to yourself. And the reason that I like to keep it to myself is because people don't like complainers, and you don't know whose yum you might be yucking. Have you heard the saying, like, don't yuck my yum? And the other one is you don't know whose day you might be affecting by saying these things out loud, especially to strangers. So I try not to impose my negative opinions on other people. Like, for instance, say someone knows that I live on cruise ships and they say, Cozumel, we're going to Cozumel this week. I'm really excited. And then I say, I hate Cozumel. Cozumel's the worst. Blah, 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 blah. And they're like not excited to go to Cozumel anymore. They're second guessing their excursions, whatever it is. Who knows if I do this? So anyway, I try not to do these things. And I try to put more positivity out into the world. And especially like if it's a negative opinion, I will only share it if somebody genuinely asks me, hey, what do you think of this? And I'm like, so-so. I try not to go too deep into it. I try to keep it positive with people that I don't know. I try to keep it positive with staff. And I think in general, it's very easy to spiral into negative conversations and just kind of complaining and gossiping, and especially on a place where you are paying for a service. I've noticed that people are very negative and it's hard to stay positive sometimes. So what I try to do is I try to put positivity out in the world. And I think in general, that's just a great way to go. And the more you practice it, the more, at least for me, the more I can adopt it naturally. So that's my second thing. So kind of tying it in with my second thing. My third thing is that you have more control over your day than you think. So yeah, people are going to be negative around you. People are going to say things that you don't like, whatever. You have more control over your day than you think. And by you, I'm talking to me. I'm talking to me. Because sometimes I will be like, wow, I kind of feel bad now and my day's kind of thrown off. But guess what? That person doesn't have power over me. I'm not going to let what somebody said to me just kind of throw me off. And people do say the most unhinged things to me. The other day I was in the buffet and someone was like, wow, that sandwich looks like it could feed 3 people. And I'm like, thank you so much. Thank you for commenting on my food. People love to do this. So, you know, I try not to internalize those things. And I'm like, okay, you have control over your day. Don't let this interaction mess with you. Carry on. So that's my third lesson there. And then, you know, going into the next one, it's like these all kind of build up. So like I said, you have so many different interactions with people. I would say most of them are wonderful and pleasant. People on vacation are having a great time. Generally very happy. But the more you're in public, you can have little interactions throughout the day that really kind of like pick on you. You know what I mean? Like they add up. You know, somebody cuts you off in line and, you know, who knows? All these little things happen and we can choose to, you know, feed into them or not. But my fourth thing is that little things will happen throughout the day. And if you don't take time for yourself, they will derail you. So my thing that I'm learning is to take time to recharge and not just to like, you know, sit in my room and watch TV, but to rest my nervous system. I do meditation, I do yoga, I do quiet time where I'm drawing, I'm writing my journal, all these things that help you kind of process your thoughts and emotions throughout the day so that I can go out and have more positive interactions with people instead of kind of like wanting to bite someone's head off because somebody just said something about my sandwich, and if somebody else says something about my food, I'm gonna lose it. That's just an example. It's actually a real example from yesterday, but yeah, so in that moment I was like, hey, you need to take some time for yourself. Like, go to your cabin, relax, meditate, protect your energy, protect your space. So yeah, little things will add up. So it's really important to preemptively take care of your space. That's something that I'm working on. So and then the next thing, and this is really huge for me, and someone who has been in extensive amounts of school, somebody that has done work in sales where it's all metrics based and things like that, I'm working on the fact that my rest does not have to be earned. Neither does yours. And I need to stop feeling guilty about taking rest. And it's crazy because literally I'm living on a cruise ship and I am not rested. I feel guilty and it's hard. It's something I'm working through, but you know, I've always felt like, how can I make this rest productive? Can I work on a YouTube video? Can I do a reading assignment? Whatever it is that I'm working on, I'm like, it's okay to relax. It's okay to relax. Did you know that? Because I did not know that. And that's something I'm working on, just, you know, not feeling like I'm drawing something and feeling like somebody's going to judge this. This is bad, whatever. And I'm like, who freaking cares? Just draw something, you know, like live your life, relax. That's what I'm working on. And it's hard. I don't know. Am I the only one that feels like this? Please let me know if I'm not alone, because I just feel kind of like a weirdo and I'm not a high-strung person, but this has just happened. And I noticed living on a cruise ship, being around people who are on vacation, I am like the least chill person, and I have always been a very relaxed person. So that's my tea. The next thing that I've learned, and this goes along with not having a lot of things around, not having all of my creature comforts, is that you can make a safe space wherever you are. And it's like magic. You can be comfortable, you can have a semblance of home and not be at home. And that is something that I've really worked on for a long time, because I think naturally I'm like a homebody, but I'm also very adventurous and I like to travel. And so how does that work? But there's little things that I do to make myself comfortable, to make myself feel like cozy, if that makes sense. But it's not like the things you bring, it's not something you carry, it's something that's inside of you, and you can create that safety in yourself. And that's a very important lesson for me, because, you know, when you go from place to place to place, it just feels sometimes unstable. So that is what I am working on. My next thing. And what is this, Murphy's Law? Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. I have learned this by living on a cruise ship, where weather is a thing, where laws and politics of the places that you're going are a thing. Everything pretty much throughout my day is out of my control, and that's okay. Things are going to happen. We were on 2 weeks ago, very excited to go to Key West. Never been to Key West. And they came on the announcements, ladies and gentlemen, sorry to break it to you, but the weather is too bad, we cannot go to Key West. Whatever, we're not going to Key West. It happens. It's not so easy to just say, yeah, whatever, this happens, but I think once you start adopting, at least for me, a mindset that something will go wrong throughout this trip, it makes it a little bit easier for me to deal with it, as opposed to I have this plan and this plan and this plan, and if something goes wrong, it will totally derail my entire life. Not everything can be perfect, you know? So along with that is my next thing, and it's ask for what you need and let go of what you can't control. So for me, as a woman and somebody who's, I would say I'm nice. I'm a nice person. It's very hard for me to stand up for myself, especially in instances where I feel like I've been wronged, or, you know, I'm like a kind of a pushover, right? So for me, I'm learning to ask for what I want, gently push back again if I still am not getting results. If it's not something that's that big of a deal, just letting it go. I have things happen all the time, you know, inconveniences and oopsies from the cruise, anywhere from a tiny thing to I sat on glass in the dining room a couple weeks ago, and that was a nightmare, right? So like there's a range of things, and it's kind of like you don't have to get so caught up in everything going right. And there was a period where I was like, oh, you know, the cruise line messed up this, they should compensate me for this, they should give me a dinner, whatever. Like, sometimes it's just not worth it. It's not worth it going to complain about something and just ruining your entire day, ruining your vacation, taking away time from your family, from your friends, and just distracting you with these things that for cruise lines, sometimes it's a big deal, sometimes it's not. You know, if you're at Target and something happens, sometimes it's a big deal for them and sometimes it's not. Like, there's just a whole thing of, is it worth my peace? And that's kind of something I'm jiving on right now. The next thing, onto, I'm reading from my notes, you guys. I very much planned this video. Let me know if you like it. If you like videos like this, I will continue to make them. Let me know in the comments. The next thing that is very interesting to me, and it's funny because I'm like making a YouTube video telling you guys details about my life and things like that, but the next thing I want to say is that I don't owe access to my life to anybody. I will say, like I mentioned earlier, people say the most unhinged things to me, and people just like make observations out loud. Like, that's kind of my least favorite comment, is when someone, real life this happened to me. I walk in, it was like at work, whole office full of people, and my boss goes, wow, that's a really colorful skirt. And I'm like, thank you? Like, you don't owe people a response. That's my thing that I'm working on. I don't have to respond to people. I don't have to give people access to my personal information. You know, when we cruise and people don't really get the lifestyle on the cruise ship. Sometimes people are like, oh, you're so young. How do you do this? What do you do for work? How much money do you make? How can you afford to do this? Where do you live? All these things. And I'm like, sometimes it's a little overwhelming with strangers when they go into these things. But sometimes I make genuine connections with people and we're having a conversation and all this stuff works out. But I don't owe anyone answers to anything, and people say stuff to me all the time and I just look at them and I'm like, I just walk away. Before, I always felt like I owed people answers to whatever they asked me, and it would always catch me off guard. And now sometimes I'm just like, that's a really weird thing to say to a stranger. That's kind of my default response, or like, huh? You know, it's just really interesting. So I'm working on the fact that I don't have to give people responses. I don't have to answer things. These are all strangers that I don't know, you know, whatever. So that's what I'm working on there. And, you know, I definitely want to say, this is kind of like my last closing thing, is that, perfection matters way less than spending time with people you love. So being present in the moment versus thinking about the negative things that somebody said to you in line, in the buffet, in the elevator, this thing that happened with your stateroom attendant, whatever it is, all these little like interactions, they don't matter. What matters is being present in the day with the person that I love, my partner, and just showing up every day and appreciating what we have, appreciating our lifestyle, and stop focusing on the things that are going wrong. Because it takes you out of the present, puts you in the future, puts you in a fear mindset. And so for me, it's just being together, it's just being here in the same space, and that's what's important to me. So yeah, I don't know if this season of my life will last living on cruise ships. I definitely don't have it all figured out, but living in cruise ships in my 30s has been a real crash course in social interactions, and I'm really grateful for it. It gives me a lot to think about, it gives me a lot to journal about, it gives me a lot of ways to figure out how to self-develop, and that is something I just did not ever expect to go into living on cruise ships. It's a challenge, and it's also an amazing opportunity. So I hope any of this resonated with any of you. Maybe now you think I'm a little bit of a nutbag. I am a little bit of a nutbag, spoiler alert. But yeah, that's what I've been jiving on. So like I said, if you like these types of videos, let me know. If you think I should have added something else, also let me know. I'm interested to hear what you think, what kind of lessons you might have learned traveling or in your daily life that you might want to share with me as somebody learning even more self-development in their 30s. Well, thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, I would love for you to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye.